Hey, what's up, gamers? We're back with our turn-based combat tutorial. Now, just right off the bat, I want to apologize for the delay. I've just been drowning in college work and other stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're back today, and I'm also like still coming off of being sick for a week, so I might be sniffing a lot, and I apologize for that. But hopefully, in this episode, we can address some of the bugs left off in episode 10, and also get our Cinemachine working the way we want. So, Uh, to start off, a couple of things I've worked on between episodes. So mainly would be this battle menu prefab. Here, let me switch out of debug mode. I've basically changed it from world space canvas to a screen space canvas, mainly in preparation for us switching over to Cinemachine as opposed to the static camera. And the reason I'm doing this is because when our camera is going to be moving, having a world space canvas might be slightly inconvenient for us. Because the idea of using Cinemachine is that the character is going to be in the same place on the screen at all times. It's just the character on screen that's going to be changing. So like this character or this character. Like let me move this game window up here. This character or this character. And as a result, here, let me go ahead and just um, get rid of that. But I've also gone ahead and moved this character move select camera a bit from where it was before. Here's all of that stuff if you wanted to see it, but there isn't really. It's really all personal taste and how you want your scenes to be set up. Um, and over in the turn-based combat manager script, I've done a couple things. One thing we can do, since we're switching over to a screen space canvas rather than a world space, we no longer need this line of code. We can leave it in, it won't break anything. And I'm not sure if removing it will break anything, but you know, it's not something we need anymore. Actually, I'll just leave it in. Why break anything? We'll take it out later. Just have to remember to do that. Like, leave a comment for ourselves. Oh man. And then the other thing is if you hit play at the end of the last episode, you may have noticed your character's running off in all sorts of weird directions. Um, I basically sat down and looked at my math for a second and realized I was being pretty dumb. So what I've gone ahead and done is in the play move method, we've done we've commented out this line here. This is not needed because all the characters are on the same plane. We don't need to worry about the y direction, so we can get rid of that line. I've also gone ahead and changed the line that used to be here that was like look at player.transform.look at. And since the model we imported was facing to the right, I've gone ahead and set the dot right to the. And this is something you may have to mess around with based on your model's import settings. For me, this is what worked to get the player to face the right way. So this is what I've used, but you may have to use transform.forward. You may have to use a different modification of the dir to target vector. It's just something you'll have to play around with. Thankfully, it should all be in increments of 90 degrees, so it shouldn't be too much work to figure out. But yeah, that's basically where we've left off from last time, and all the changes I've made. So now let's just jump into our Cinemachine stuff. So back here we have three cameras. We have our character move select, which is going to be used when we're selecting a camera. Where we have our melee camera for when we're doing a sort of run up and follow attack. And if we increase the priority on this a little bit, here actually let's just decrease this to 11. Then you'll see our melee camera. This is going to basically be following the player as they run up to their target and hit them. Whereas this will be in the case where the player does an area of effect attack. We may actually want to zoom this out a little bit more so we can get the player's animation as well as all the particle effects that we'll add in a future episode. Because right now we're all just sort of, you know, suspending our disbelief that, you know, they're attacking and all. But anyways, so that's our sort of plan for today. And so let's just dive right in. So we do need references to all three of these. in our turn combat managers. Let's go ahead and make ourselves some fields for those. Let's go ahead and add a public here, let's actually first off using the Cinemachine namespace so we can get access to all of that fun stuff. Let's just get a Cinemachine virtual camera, and we'll need one for our move select, we'll need one for our melee, and we'll need one for AoE. In fact, I should suffix all of these with cam just in case we have other variables at a future date of these type, or not of these type, but of the same name. And since these are going to be assigned publicly, we don't need to worry about them too much in start. I'm going to make a couple helper methods for myself. I'll actually go and do that near the bottom to keep things a little bit more organized. Let's go down here. Let's make a private void enable camera, and let's go ahead and make a private void disable camera, disable cameras. And then all this will do is just do melee cam dot game object dot set active false, melee cam dot or move select cam dot game object dot set active false, and our last one AoE cam dot game object dot set active false. And here we also need a parameter here. We'll need a Cinemachine virtual camera. You may need to use a different kind if you used a different kind of Cinemachine camera. If I recall correctly, all of mine are virtual cameras, and that's in here. All of these different types of cameras. Dolly tracks are kind of cool. I'd mess around with those if I were you. Again, to reiterate, this whole tutorial series is to build a base upon which you can expand. As by itself, this won't be that spectacular. It'll have everything functional, and may look pretty, who knows, but it won't have any depth to it, which is where you come in with your creativity and ideas. Okay, so now that we have a reference to our camera, we can just disable cameras, and then camera.gameObject.setActiveTrue. And this is just a fast way to switch between cameras. So we can just enable one, which will disable the others, because we never want two cameras running at the same time. So in the start method, all we really need to do is just do enable camera, and we want the character select cam, or the move select cam. That's what we called it. This isn't character select. In fact, I think I will move that to the top, just because the camera should be the first thing in that. Alright, so we've enabled our camera in start, and we have our whole deal. So in the player phase is when we'll need to so here we'll probably want to enable camera move select, yeah, and then that is all fine. And then in the enemy phase, we'll probably want a separate camera for that. Actually, we could just use the AoE camera or the move select camera. In fact, let's try the move select camera for now. If it turns out we need to make another camera for this, we'll do that. I'm just gonna try and stick with what I've already made because I don't want to go back and make more. Laziness is the best way to do game dev, of course. And in play move, here's where we'll have to decide. We'll enable the melee camera here, and we'll add a little else branch here just to enable the AOE cam in the other case, because this will still run for both cases afterwards. Okay, and that should just about get it done. We can go ahead and test it out. Again, frequent testing is always a great object you want to instantiate is null. Oh. Ah, man. I always get too far ahead of myself. All of these are unassigned. Let's go ahead and assign this. I'm sure some of you are yelling at me from behind your screens. I apologize. And hopefully that fixes both of those. Yep. There is something else we need to do that I haven't done on purpose, just to kind of show it off. So here you can see that with our move being in the screen space, it is moving with the camera's whole like screen shake thing. And in fact, we may want to convert it back to world space, but we'll think about that later. But yeah. Okay, yeah. So there's the issue that I was talking about. Yeah. So if you're wondering why that transition's happening, it's because in here, our default blend is ease in out. You can do a hard cut. You could choose any of these other ones. I'm going to change this to ease out. And you can choose how long it takes. I don't want it to take 2 whole seconds, so I think I'll make it happen in 0.7 seconds. That's just off the top of my head. So, yeah, I mean, you can tweak that to better fit your game as needed. But so the problem with what we're doing here is we're not updating these follow and look at targets that we've set in our camera. Like, just to test them, we've set them all to player 1 here. And what we need to do is we need to create a way to like update our target. So let's go ahead and give let's see if I remember how to do this. It's like the array. Actually, no. We should just take a transform. Target. We'll take a look target, and we'll take a transform follow target. And both of these, by default, will allow to be null. And what we'll want to do here is camera.mFollow is equal to follow target, as well as camera.mLookAt is equal to the look target. There we go. I spelled this wrong. Capital L. There you go. And then what we need to do is when we're enabling our camera, we want to pass it in our sort of follow and look at targets. Now, the cool thing about how we've set these up is, so in this case our aim has do nothing, and we don't have a null target, or we don't have a look at target. And for this, we do have both of these, and we do have both of those, and same here. So typically when it's null, we're not doing anything, so it's fine to set the thing to null. Okay, so AoE cam, we want our, let's see, we can use this as a reference, but we want a follow and look at target, and both of these will be the player that's playing it right now. We can just do player.transform, player.transform. And you may wonder why I didn't just combine these into one field. In that case, if we do have a camera that needs to look at something while following something else, like say look at the player while following a particle system or something, then you'd want these to be separate. It's always better just to have more options of customizability, even though it does make writing code a little bit more tedious. And we'll do the same thing here. Okay. And in fact, we could combine this into one ternary statement, these two lines, but it's just easier to read when it's separated out. And here we will want to use the enemy.transform. And just to confirm, our move select does have both. And it won't matter if it doesn't, but that's fine. Like the thing I was mentioning earlier is even if we pass this value in and we're not using it, the aim will be set to like do nothing, and so it won't actually matter that we have a look at target or whatever. Okay, and let's go ahead and find the last place we did it. It should be in here, player phase, and player.transform, player.transform. All right, let's go ahead and check that out. Cool. So now we have this move select set up. Let's go ahead and start the combat, and you can see it jumped over to this. And we can actually change this a little bit during runtime. So if we go ahead and hit backslash, okay, we're definitely gonna need to edit the camera on the follow, but let's try an area of effect attack. There you go. Yeah, that's looking pretty good as far as transitions go. So we just need to edit this melee camera. For some reason it's falling behind. Because it's, so I had assumed that so yeah, so I actually set this up incorrectly. I thought this was player 1, but actually we need to be over here. There we go. So now our melee attack should look the way we want. So now we just go in and attack. See him run up. You know, we may need to fine tune that distance a little bit, but the whole idea is there. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna want to change our look at for. So here's the case where we'd want to change our look at. So for the area of effect, it works great on these guys, but over here we don't really get to see these two when we're choosing our character select. So for our character select, we're going to want to change our look at target here to like some central value in here. Let's go ahead and create, and I should have done this at the beginning, but let's go ahead and make an enemies holder, into which we can just drag all of our enemies. And then let's go ahead and create an empty object in the center of that as well. And we want this to be in the center of these dudes, maybe a little high as well. And we'll call this the enemy target. So we can take our character move select and change this to the enemy target. And now if we bump our priority up on this a little bit, we can change, and we choose like one of the layers over here. We'll see that we have a better view. But we do still want to move this a little bit. So something like that, but that might work for this as well. Yeah. Okay, and we can check for some of the other players as well. See how it works. It seems to be working fine. So now all we need to do is whenever we're choosing our move select cam, we no longer pass a look at target. And we can just change this to null. And that'll basically keep us from overwriting that look at target that we've set. Let's see, move select cam. Let's find any other references to that really quick. Yeah, right here. We'll just change that. Actually, no. This will need to change as well. We can try doing this and see how it looks. Basically, that's the enemy's view of us, so we might want to do a similar thing where we create a player target and then have references to those. So let's go ahead and start the combat. And nice. Okay. I definitely want to speed up those animations at some point. It is kind of comical though, which I'm enjoying. And the same reason I'm attacking the same person is so we can sort of see um, their animation when they pop up. Okay, that's something we may need to work on as well. Yeah, so the melee cam is also lagging behind on those other two. Okay. Alright, area of effect. And something's happening. Yeah. So we're definitely going to want to make more cameras for our enemies to use rather than just relying on the same ones for our players. And I think I will also change the way melee camera works, because it was not working well with the players over here. The area of effect cam as well, I will also use the enemy target. And I think what I will do is actually just make fields for here, like public transform for the AoE or player target and the enemy target. And we will probably need to make more Cinemachine virtual cameras at some point. Let's do the same process for our players. Let's create an empty game object, all players, reset the transform, and go ahead and drag all of these players underneath the players. And let's go ahead and create an empty object underneath that, and this will be our player target. And while we're here, just so we don't forget in the future, go ahead and assign those. Okay. And we'll need to make sure that this is centered as well. If we go back into our scene, we'll just copy the enemy transform, paste component values, and then just move it. There. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So at the start, we want to enable this with. Yeah, we don't need to enable it with anything actually. Start turn combat. All of that seems fine. And in the player phase, yeah, move select cam can have. We should actually pass in the enemy target here. And in the choose target, that's all fine. We could actually, in the choose target, switch to the AoE cam. That could work pretty well. Go ahead and enable camera AoE cam. And then we will go ahead and set our look at to be the enemy target, because we know that the only reason we'd ever use the choose target thing is if we're in a player's move set, not an enemy's move set. And then the follow target will be the player that is currently playing, which we do not have, but I do not think the AoE cam needs a follow target, if I remember correctly. I guess it does. Let's hold off on that. We'll make another camera for that maybe. Enemy phase, we'll want to look at the player target. And in the play move, we'll change. Yeah. So here, what we can do is, yeah, actually melee camera is fine. AoE cam is what we need to worry about. So here, what we can do is do a quick ternary player dot is player, and if it is a player, then we want to use the enemy target. Otherwise, we want to use player target. And yeah, okay, let me space this out a little bit here actually. Thing about Visual Studio, it automatically does it if you want to use a semicolon. So yeah, this is just a ternary statement. It's an inline if-else. So here's your Boolean condition. Here's if it's true, and here's if it's false. So we're basically checking if it's a player, and then if it is, we're using the enemy target, otherwise using a player target. That should work a little bit better. I think that should be it as far as things go. We're gonna need to fine tune these cameras a little bit as well. I'm not liking how they're sort of translating. But yeah. Simple follow with world up, perhaps. We'll need to use this back down. Alright, let's try this out. And we'll do... Yeah, we're gonna need to work on that. So maybe we need an aim, actually, that might be the issue. Let's go ahead and give it the player 1 so we can sort of see and just we'll change this to like composer, why not? Yeah, like that. Something like this might work better. And then in here, wherever we go there, yeah, that's all fine. Okay, so go ahead and start the combat. I see. So that's where the issue is. So the aim allowed us to sort of see where the issue was. And I actually kind of like that it went behind after tracking. But I do want this to go back to ease in and out. I did like how that worked. A little bit more smooth. And we can just sort of see how these all work. Yeah, it still needs a little bit more work, but yeah, you can sort of see where we're going with this turn-based combat stuff. It's kind of like all coming together, which I think is the fascinating part. Alright, now you can see. Nice. I can moonwalk at him. So that's something I think I know where the issue is. It's coming with our rotation. Yeah. So I suppose the issue. Oh wait, I see. I see. Yeah. We can just do another. So the reason is because the players and the enemies are facing different directions. And I was trying to just rotate them, which should work. Regardless, but we'll just do it this way. Oh, whoops. There we go. Alright. That should pretty much wrap up our camera work for today, though we'll do one more run through. The rest of this is literally just fine tuning, which I'll do off camera. It's not that entertaining. and maybe we'll show it off at the beginning of the next episode. Which I think next episode we'll start getting into particles and stuff. We're at a good point where we can sort of take a break from all of this stuff. We're definitely going to need to edit the animations a little bit to get them to line up a little bit better. Maybe use IKs. I don't know if I want to do that, but in fact we probably should. It sets up an easier baseline for other animations that are more reliant. Okay, a sick camera angle. There we go. There we go, now that everything's lined up. Yeah, cool. Alright, yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode though. Thank you all for watching. Next episode we'll either continue fine-tuning camera a little bit, or we'll jump into particles, or we'll do IK. It really depends on what sort of is requested, what I think is more important. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope we'll see you in the next episode.